Hey, welcome back to Rust Hoarder Garage. 61 Rambler Rock Box. Gonna try to finish up the fuel system today, hopefully. It's already late in the day. I've been doing other things. This is what it is. But we did all the fuel lines last video. Hopefully the connections are good. Goal today is to get a filler neck installed, pressurize the system, and see how well I did when I installed it all. All right, so simple project today, right? Don't say that because it usually doesn't work out that way. But anyway, I got to connect here, which is where the original filler hose is coming down, to here. I already removed the little rubber extension that was on the tank. You can't buy these anymore, which makes them kind of difficult. But I did find a Spectra hose that is the right dimensions that I figured out on 56 Chevy truck build that works with the G10-20 tank, and it also will fit here, trust me. But with this 90, I think I can get closer to getting things lined up. What's different about this car than everything else I've done so far that I can remember is that it has an external gas cap. I'm used to making my own filler neck, but I'm going to have to use at least that end of the factory tube there, filler neck, and modify it to work with what we're doing here. All right, so with the first part on, which is my Spectra hose, I can get close, but I've got to connect these two. And the problem is, this is actually a rubber hose. It's pretty petrified, but I'm going to see what kind of shape it's in there. I've got to get something from here to here. They are different sizes. This can move over a little bit to line up. And what I'm thinking of using is a piece of this, which is a stainless steel pipe that may or may not be an exhaust tip off of a Jaguar. We won't talk about that. But if I weld that in, I think that will give me a good connection between the two. But I got to get that original tube out first and see what kind of shape it's in and what I can do to modify it. All right, first surprise. Aren't there always surprises when working on old stuff? First off, if you're using one of the G10 or 20 van tanks like I showed in my 56 Chevy pickup build, or if you're using one of these, that's the cheapest fuel filler hose I could find that would fit that dimension. Fuel filler hose is not cheap. And that little elbow there, it was like $15 when I built the truck. It's up to $20 now. I don't know why. But anyway, back to the piece of junk. Surprise! I removed the factory filler tube and I took the what do you want to call this? The flange out that the gas cap goes to. And what I expected to find was a metal tube that would then be a piece of rubber hose clamped to it. No, this came off. This is the filler tube. It's all rubber. What do you think the chances are of finding that anywhere? Impossible. But it doesn't matter. But I just thought it was something very cool to note, because if you actually cracked one of these, you're never going to find it. You got to make yourself a new one. But the reality is, in this case, it doesn't matter, because we'll do what we want. But because this came out like this, and because this is its own individual piece, I'm no longer at the mercy of having to use this. I could make my own filler neck if I want, and then this just goes right over it, as long as it seals. But I'm going to play around with it for a little bit and see if it's better to make our own or modify this and use this somehow. All right, decision has been made for me. I have a couple different filler necks here. One I just found in my stash. We're not going to be using that. But I am going to be modifying the original filler neck that went with this tank. I've already cut the mounting flange off. And the reason is, remember we were going to talk about the second vent in the fuel system. The first one we dealt with when we put the tank in. That was to let air into the tank while the engine's running so you don't pull a vacuum on it. The vent we haven't dealt with yet is to let air out of the tank when you're putting gas in so it doesn't just splash back in your face. You have to let that air out as you displace that volume. Well, back in the 60s and 50s and whatever, before there were sealed fuel systems, this did everything. They had a vented fuel cap that would let air in while the engine was running, and they made your filler tube monstrous so that when you put gas in, the air just came right back out next to it and let the fumes out into the atmosphere. That's what they didn't like anymore, so that's when they went to the sealed fuel system. So with the sealed system, obviously the hole in your filler neck is just big enough for your gas filler gun, and it's not going to let air back up this tube. Not only because it's smaller, but the tank also has kind of like a spring-loaded check valve in it. That's what makes it hard to siphon fuel out of newer tanks. So when gas is going in, gas can go in, but when you stop pumping, I think that there's like a ball and a spring and it seals off and you can't get back out. But that's why the air comes out the top of this tank in the vapor dome. And what they did from the factory is something like this. See, this second smaller line here connects down to the vapor dome on the tank, to the vent. So when you're putting gas in here, gas is coming out here, air is coming back this way into the filler neck higher than where the gun is. So when you put the gas gun in, it's down here putting the fuel in, the air is coming out above it, and it comes out just those little areas to the top of the filler hole. So that's what we're going to do here, and that's why I can't use this, because if this was metal, like I thought it was going to be, I could have just drilled a hole in this and put a 90-degree fitting in it and tied in a hose for the vent, or welded a stub on it for the hose to connect to or something, but this is rubber. So I really can't do anything that's going to seal 100%, I don't think, and make it work. So the response to all that mess is going to be, I'm going to modify this. I'm actually probably going to cut it right in half and cut this vent line way back here and just make it a stub so I can hook a hose to it, because a hose is much easier to deal with fishing through the quarter panel. And I don't think this filler neck is going in the right angle. So I could cut it, adjust it, change it, whatever I need to do. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to modify this to work. And we're going to weld the flange that bolts to the car right to the top of this once the clocking is correct. And hopefully it all looks factory. All right, here's what we're starting with. I have chopped the filler into all kind of pieces, and I just tack welded the Rambler flange onto the very end of it. So now I'm going to mount this in the car so it's in the right spot, so when I put the gas cap on, it's not facing the wrong way because it's got a piece of trim on it. It's not here. You'll see it when it's on the car. You'll know. But I need this to be in the right clocked location so that the gas cap works. So I'm going to put this on, and then I got pieces laying all over the place. I'm going to try to fish the next part up, mark it with a marker so I know where it goes, and get that tacked into place. All right, it's the next day. It's freaking cold. Like, you don't know this if you're in the Northeast. But anyway, yeah, it's cold. So here's what I ended up with last night before I went in the house. A two-piece filler neck. Welded together, Frankenstein style, as usual. This is going to go like this with a coupler. I had to make it two-piece because this thing actually goes through the quarter panel. So in order for this to be somewhat straight, to be able to fish through and not be a permanent part of the car, I had to make it like this. I probably could have put some kind of coupling higher up, but this will work. So we're going to put this in. One other thing. I looked this morning. You can find these, but they're like $150 plus shipping. So if you think you're ever going to see a $150 gas filler on one of my builds, not happening. All right, the first part of the filler tube is installed, and this is the trim piece I was talking about. Has to be horizontal, or hopefully is, so that that tube is clocked the right way. So I connected the vent first. So I have up there, if this will focus, I have the vent hose connected to the filler tube, runs down here, and connects to the line into the vapor dome on the tank. So that's that. Now, just got to make this connection here from the tank to the filler tube. All right, we'll get the next and last piece on of the filler neck, which is this guy here. Notice it's larger on each end. Custom. I didn't have a piece of tubing the right size, so I just welded a sleeve of the right size tube on it to make an elbow that should work. Because we're not spending a lot of money here. Did I mention this is a budget build? I haven't been going over the budget on this one like I did on the 56 pickup, but this is a similar $5,000 budget build. So in the end, the goal is to spend less than $5,000 out of pocket. And I'm on schedule. All right, all together, I put a couple gallons of gas in it, and some ended up on the ground. So my custom elbow had a pinhole leak that I didn't catch. My fault. So I took it out, didn't want to weld on it because it was now had gas in it. And I found a piece of pipe that may or may not be from a Jaguar exhaust system. And it fit pretty good. And it works. No leaks and no welding on it. So I can't mess that up. So next thing. Here's the wires for the fuel pump. Let's turn on the fuel pump and pressurize the lines and see if I made any mistakes with those as well. All right, let's get this done now. Hopefully this is all okay. You know, as far as that weld on the filler tube, I should have expected it. I didn't grind off the galvanized coating on the one piece of tubing that I was welding, which is a no-no in the first place, because welding on galvanized can make bad fumes. But it was so cold and I rushed it, and it's my fault. Whatever, it's okay now. So what I've got now is I have the fuel pump hooked up to a dead battery, and I've got my starter switch here that I usually use. And I'm going to use this to control the fuel pump rather than just turn it on and watch it spray gas everywhere. So I'm going to hit it, start looking at fittings, and see what happens. Hopefully I have enough gas in the tank. Seems awful high pitched. This is the problem with these lines. I can't feel if there's stuff going through them. Oh, yes, I can. Well, they're vibrating. I think we have fuel. I could put a fuel pressure gauge on the car, but then I got to let it down and hope the wiring doesn't fall off because it's just kind of temporarily stuck up here. See? It's already fallen off. Oh, there it goes. I know everything's working, but I have to put some more gas in. All right, let's try this again. I just put probably another gallon or a little more in the tank. It was kind of difficult because it's one of those stupid gas can filler tubes that you have to press on in order to get it to go. And The gas filler doesn't leak, but the gas can leaked right on me, so now I'm going to hear about that when I get in the house, I'm sure. So let's try this again. See if this thing goes a little better. Oh, we're definitely pushing fuel now. Yeah, I can hear it returning back to the tank. Let me get my light. I don't see any leaks. The only other place it can be a problem is up at the engine. Just take a quick look. Yeah, she's definitely pushing fuels now. I see no problems up at the front of the car. No drips, anything like that. Yeah, you can feel it going through the lines. All right, so that is good. I'll probably have to put some more gas in it before the first start, but fuel system is done. All right, so that is going to be it for this one. Quick video, I'm sure, but wasn't a whole lot to it, except that, as usual, everything takes more than expected. I thought I might be able to just fish in the original V-body filler tube, but no, that didn't work. So we made our own, no big deal. And only one leak, and all my fault. So if I had just taken my time and ignored the fact that I can't feel my feet, probably would have done some better welding there and it wouldn't have leaked. But that's okay. Good now. The fuel system's leak-free. And I think the next thing will be power steering. I just ordered the absolute cheapest AN line power steering line kit I could find to make the connection off this LT1 pump over to the G-body power steering box. So I think that will be next. I'm trying to get done as much as I can in the engine compartment without putting the radiator in, because once I put that in, it really blocks access to a lot of stuff. So I want to try to get as much done as I can. So that's that. We'll come back and do that next. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for following, and thanks for subscribing. I really appreciate it. I'm going to go in the house now and take a shower and get rid of these gas-covered clothes. Later.